Listen closely, because this is not motivation. This is a wake-up call. Every dream you've buried, every goal you've postponed, every moment you convinced yourself you weren't ready, your brain was behind that. Not because it hates you, but because it protects you. And comfort is its favorite prison. Today we break that. Your brain is an extraordinary machine, brilliant, fast, intuitive. But let's be honest, it has one mission: protect you, not elevate you, not challenge you, not push you into the discomfort where success is born. Survival is its priority, not transformation. And because of that, every time you reach for something bigger, something uncertain, something stretching, your mind floods you with alarms. This is too risky, too unfamiliar, too hard. But what if I told you that these alarms aren't signs of danger? They're signs of potential. Your brain isn't trying to sabotage you, it's trying to shield you. Yet greatness is never found in the places your brain believes are safe. It's found when you dare to walk into the unknown anyway. Think about how often you wanted to start something that mattered. Yet you felt resistance before you even began. You wanted to build that skill, pursue that dream, change that habit, but your brain whispered excuses dressed as reason. I'll start tomorrow. I'm not ready. I don't want to fail. That hesitation isn't weakness. It's deeply rooted biology. For thousands of years, comfort meant survival. Staying in the familiar meant you lived another day. But in today's world, comfort doesn't save you. It stalls you. It keeps you stuck, replaying the same routines, the same fears, the same doubts, until years pass and you wonder where the fire inside you disappeared. Your brain might be built for safety, but your soul is built for expansion. And sooner or later, one has to win. Every time you take on something challenging, your brain treats it like a threat. Not because it is one, but because change requires energy, vulnerability, and uncertainty. Your mind loves patterns, predictability, repetition. Hard things disrupt that rhythm, and your brain pushes back. That pushback is why you procrastinate, why you overthink, why you sabotage your own progress. But here's the truth you need to hear. If you feel resistance, it means you're right on the edge of a breakthrough. Resistance is the friction of transformation. It's not a stop sign. It's a signal that what you're reaching for actually matters. The harder your brain tries to hold you back, the more important that step forward becomes. Most people never step past that resistance. Not because they're incapable, but because no one taught them how to interpret it. They think discomfort means turn around. They think fear means you're not ready. They think uncertainty means you're not good enough. But discomfort is a teacher. Fear is a compass. Uncertainty is evidence that you're growing past the limits you've lived with for too long. When you understand this, you stop negotiating with your limitations. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop making choices from a place of safety and start making them from a place of purpose. And let me tell you something, when your purpose becomes louder than your excuses, that's when your life begins to shift. Imagine what would happen if you stopped treating your brain's resistance like a command and started treating it like a challenge. Imagine choosing the difficult thing not because it feels good, not because it feels easy, but because it builds the version of you you've been craving to become. Every time you do something, your brain resists. Waking up early, focusing deeply, saying no to distractions, committing to what matters, you're rewriting your identity. You're proving to yourself that you are not controlled by instinct, you are driven by intention. And once you prove that to yourself even once, even for a moment, something powerful cracks open inside you. You start trusting your strength more than your doubts. You start moving by decision instead of emotion. You start realizing how much of your life has been shaped by avoiding the very things that would have set you free. You must understand this. The brain you were born with is not the brain you're stuck with. It rewires, it adapts. It transforms based on what you repeatedly push it to do. If you avoid challenges, your mind becomes fragile. If you take on challenges, your mind becomes unstoppable. Growth isn't just mental, it's neurological. When you force your brain to do hard things, you are literally building pathways of resilience, discipline, confidence, and strength. You're constructing a mind that supports your success rather than protecting your limitations. And once you start living from that place, once you start facing the things you once feared, life expands in ways you never imagined. Opportunities open, energy rises, self-respect floods in. Because you didn't wait for something to change, you changed you. And that is the moment everything in your life begins to shift. Not because the world got easier, but because your mind got stronger. Discomfort is not the enemy you think it is. It's the doorway you keep avoiding. The hallway you glance at and walk past because something inside you whispers, not today, maybe later. But discomfort is the only place where life hands out transformation. When you step into discomfort, you step into the version of yourself you haven't met yet. It strips away your excuses, your illusions, your limits. It forces you to see what you're capable of. Not what you hope for, not what you imagine, but what you actually can do when comfort is no longer an option. Most people spend their lives protecting their comfort zones like sacred ground, not realizing those same comfort zones are slowly shrinking, getting tighter, suffocating their potential a little more every year. The truth is simple: the more you avoid discomfort, the weaker you become. The more you face it, the stronger you grow. Discomfort isn't pain, it's possibility wearing a disguise. But let's be honest, hard things don't feel heroic when you're in them. They feel irritating, frustrating, overwhelming. Your brain tries to negotiate with you like a seasoned lawyer. You deserve a break. This is too much. You're tired. It doesn't matter anyway. These excuses don't show up because you're incapable. They show up because you're evolving. The moment you stretch beyond your usual limits, your brain panics. It thinks you're in danger. But pushing through discomfort is not danger. It's development. You're rewiring your instincts. You're breaking patterns that kept you small. You're proving that your emotions don't control you. You control you. And every time you override that internal negotiation, you strengthen your identity. You build a mind that listens to your goals, not your fears. You build a spirit that acts on truth, not temporary feelings. And that shift is life-changing. Every meaningful accomplishment in your life will be surrounded by discomfort. That's not a punishment. It's the entry fee. Think about it. The first time you tried something new, the first time you confronted a fear, the first time you chose long-term reward over short-term relief, those moments didn't feel easy. They felt heavy, uncertain, awkward. But afterward, you felt powerful, clear, alive. Why? Because you crossed a threshold you didn't think you could. Discomfort is the test that reveals what's real. It shows you whether you're committed or casual, whether you're intentional or impulsive, whether you're driven by purpose or pressure. You can talk about your goals all day, but discomfort exposes whether you're willing to earn them. And when you choose to walk through that discomfort instead of avoiding it, something inside you unlocks. You begin to trust yourself, not because you succeeded, but because you showed up. There's a reason you admire people with discipline, grit, and resilience. It's not because they're gifted, it's because they've mastered the one thing most people run from: friction. They've learned that discomfort isn't a stop sign, it's a guide. It points directly to what needs strengthening. Want confidence? It sits inside discomfort. Want discipline? It's shaped by discomfort. Want courage? It's forged through discomfort. The qualities you desire are not found in the comfortable things you already do well. They're found in the hard things you avoid. Imagine how different your life would look if you made discomfort your teacher instead of your enemy. Imagine if you walked toward the things that challenged you instead of circling back to what numbs you. That single shift would rewrite the entire direction of your future. Discomfort is not a punishment, it's preparation. It prepares you for the responsibilities you say you want. It prepares you for the opportunities you aren't ready for yet. It prepares you for the life you envision when you close your eyes and dream bigger than your current reality. Every time you push through discomfort, you expand the boundaries of what you can handle. Suddenly, conversations that once intimidated you become effortless. Tasks that once felt overwhelming become routine. Challenges that once terrified you become stepping stones. This is how leaders are built, not through easy days, but through difficult ones. Not by staying comfortable, but by learning to stand tall in the storm. Discomfort doesn't just strengthen skills, it strengthens character. It builds a mental foundation so solid that no setback, no failure, no criticism can collapse it. And here's the final truth. Discomfort is unavoidable. You will either face the discomfort of growth or the discomfort of regret. One makes your life bigger, the other makes your life smaller. One builds your future, the other buries your potential. Every day you choose which discomfort you're willing to live with. So choose the one that feels hard now, but feels empowering later. Choose the one that stretches you instead of shrinking you. Choose the one that aligns with the future you want, not the past you've outgrown. Hard things are the tuition for a meaningful life, and discomfort is the currency of greatness. Embrace it, and everything you dream of becomes reachable. Not someday, but sooner than you think. Because the moment you stop running from discomfort is the moment you start running toward the life you were always meant to live. When people talk about success, they often imagine it as a sudden explosion, a breakthrough, a quantum leap, a dramatic moment when everything finally aligns. But the truth behind every extraordinary life is far less glamorous and far more powerful. It is built on one consistent choice, repeated over and over again. Consistency is the silent architect of greatness. It's not loud, it's not flashy, it rarely gets applause, but it shapes everything. It shapes your habits, your mindset, your discipline, your confidence, your future. And yet, your brain resists consistency more than anything else, because consistency requires repetition, and repetition demands effort. But effort is exactly what rewires you. Effort is what transforms potential into reality. And once you understand that, once you stop waiting to feel like it, you start building a life rooted in intentional momentum instead of emotional convenience. Think about how many people start strong but fade fast. They buy the gym membership, open the notebook, download the course, make the plan, and then life happens. A tough day, a bad mood, a moment of doubt, and before they know it, one skip day becomes a habit of skipping. They mistake inconsistency for failure, when inconsistency is actually a test of commitment, a test of clarity, a test of how badly you want the life you say you want. The secret isn't forcing perfection, the secret is returning. Returning on the days you're tired, returning on the days you're insecure, returning on the days when your brain whispers, why bother? Because every time you return, you teach your mind something life-changing. That effort is not optional for you. It's part of who you are. And let's be very clear, consistency doesn't mean intensity. You don't need to overhaul your life in one dramatic burst. You don't need the all-night grind, the heroic sprint, the massive transformation in a single week. That's the trap. That's what burns people out. Real growth is built from the small, deliberate actions you repeat, even when no one is watching. The things that don't impress anyone, but ultimately shape everything. 5 minutes of writing every day beats 5 hours once a month. 10 push-ups daily beat a brutal workout you'll never repeat. Reading a few pages consistently will build a sharper mind than trying to consume a whole book in one sitting. Consistency compounds. It is slow at first, almost invisible. But then one day you look back and the person you were is gone. You've rewired yourself through 1,000 tiny choices. Consistency is also the birthplace of identity. People think identity shapes habits, but it's actually the reverse. Your habits create your identity. Every time you show up, even in a small way, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. Every choice is a signal. When you choose the difficult task, when you prioritize growth over comfort, when you follow through on what you said you would do, You're telling your brain, this is who I am now. And your brain begins to believe you. That belief becomes confidence. That confidence becomes capability. And capability becomes your new baseline. You no longer push yourself to be consistent. Consistency becomes a natural expression of who you are. But the real reason consistency feels hard has nothing to do with the task itself. It has everything to do with the stories we tell ourselves. We say we're too busy, too tired, too stressed, too overwhelmed. But underneath all of that is one truth: we don't trust ourselves to follow through. We've broken our own promises too many times. We've set goals we never honored. And so our brain doubts us. And doubt becomes the very thing that stops us from trying again. But here's the freedom you need to feel in your bones. You can rebuild trust with yourself. One small win at a time. Not through grand speeches or impossible plans, but through simple, powerful consistency. Do one thing today, then do it tomorrow, then again. This is how you rebuild your identity and your future. Imagine your life 1 year from now if you committed to one hard thing every day. Just one. One action that stretches you. One decision that aligns with the life you want. One moment where you choose discipline over comfort. You wouldn't even recognize yourself. You'd walk differently, think differently, speak differently. Not because you were lucky or gifted, but because you made a choice again and again to rise above your excuses and act with intention. Success doesn't come from being the smartest or the strongest. It comes from being the one who stays, the one who keeps going, the one who shows up before the results appear, the one who knows that consistency is not a chore, it is a superpower. Because when you choose consistency, you don't just build success. You build the version of yourself who can sustain it, protect it, and rise even higher from it. Pressure is one of the most misunderstood forces in a human life. People flinch when they feel it, as if it's a sign they're weak or unprepared. But pressure isn't an enemy, it's a mirror. It reflects who you are in the moments when everything feels heavy, chaotic, and uncertain. Pressure strips away the surface-level confidence and shows you the raw, unfiltered truth about your strength, your resilience, and your character. When everything is calm, anyone can look composed. Anyone can speak confidently. Anyone can pretend to have it all together. But when life tightens its grip, when deadlines close in, when expectations rise, when the world demands more than you think you can give, that's when your authentic power is revealed. And most people never get to see that power because they run from these moments instead of walking into them. Think back to every breakthrough you've ever had. Personal, emotional, professional. Almost all of them were born from pressure. You didn't evolve when things were easy. You evolved when you were pushed. When circumstances demanded you rise. When you had no option except to grow, stretch, fight, or crumble. Pressure exposes your limits not to shame you, but to show you where your potential begins. It's the heat that forges steel. It's the weight that builds muscle. It's the friction that sharpens the blade. Without pressure, you remain soft. You remain untested. You remain unaware of the strength sleeping inside you. And nothing is more dangerous than a strong person who doesn't know they're strong, because they never give themselves the chance to rise. Most people fear pressure because they associate it with failure. They think, what if I can't handle it? What if I get it wrong? What if I'm not enough? But the truth is, pressure doesn't break you. Your response to pressure does. The fear isn't in the situation, it's in your belief about yourself. When you believe you're fragile, pressure feels like a threat. When you believe you're capable, pressure becomes a challenge. And when you believe you're unstoppable, pressure becomes fuel. The shift happens the moment you stop seeing pressure as something life is doing to you and start seeing it as something life is offering for you. Pressure is the universe testing your readiness for the next level. It's life checking if you're prepared to carry the weight of your own greatness. There's a reason the most successful people on this planet run toward difficult situations instead of away from them. They understand a simple truth: ease doesn't shape leaders, pressure does. Ease doesn't build discipline, Pressure does. Ease doesn't reveal character. Pressure does. When you refuse to crumble, when you hold steady even as everything around you shakes, something incredible happens inside you. You start trusting yourself on a deeper level. You develop an inner strength that can't be taught in books or lectures. It comes only from experience, from surviving the storm, from realizing you didn't need perfect conditions to stand tall. The moment you survive pressure once, even in the smallest way, your brain learns, I can do hard things. I can handle intensity. You stop fearing adversity and start commanding it. You stop shrinking under intensity and start thriving in it. Pressure becomes not the enemy of your potential, but the birthplace of it. Because when life pushes you and you push back harder, you don't just survive the moment, you evolve into the person you were always meant to be. Fear is one of the oldest emotions your brain knows. It kept your ancestors alive, and because of that, it still holds enormous power over your decisions today. But fear was never meant to be a ruler. It was meant to be a signal. The problem is that over time, we began treating fear like a final verdict instead of a momentary alarm. We wait for it to vanish before we take action. We wait to feel certain, confident, and safe. But fear doesn't disappear with waiting. It grows. It expands into the empty spaces where action should have lived. And the longer you wait, the more convincing it becomes. Not because the dream isn't possible, but because fear fills the silence left by your hesitation. That's why you must confront it head on. Not later, not someday, but the moment it appears, because that exact moment is when your future is being negotiated. Fear will always try to make you believe you're not capable enough, talented enough, prepared enough. It wants you to think that everyone else is braver, that everyone else has something you don't. But here's the truth that most people never hear. Brave people don't feel less fear. They just refuse to let fear be the deciding voice. Courage isn't natural, it's trained. It's built like a muscle, through repetition, through action, through walking into situations where fear screams and you move anyway. Every time you do something scared, you expand the limits of what your brain believes you can handle. And once your brain sees that fear didn't break you, it starts trusting you more. It starts stepping aside. That's why the first step is always the hardest, because you're not just fighting the world outside, you're fighting the beliefs wired inside. But once you take that step, something shifts. You realize fear is not a barrier, it's an indicator that you're on the right path. People often think they need to conquer fear before doing anything meaningful. But fear doesn't disappear with thinking. It disappears with movement. Action starves fear. Action confuses fear. When you move, even in the smallest way, fear loses its grip because fear feeds on inaction. It thrives when you stay still. It multiplies when you hesitate. Taking action, even a tiny step, breaks that cycle. It tells your brain, I choose direction over doubt. And once you choose direction, your entire nervous system recalibrates. You're no longer waiting for life to happen. You're influencing it. You're shaping it. You're stepping out of fear's shadow and into your own power. The irony is that the moment you take that step, the fear you once felt so intensely starts to shrink, because it's only powerful when you give it permission. Every successful person you admire has walked through fear. Every dream that ever came alive was born inside someone who felt terrified and moved anyway. Fear is